Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Shannon, I am the Wisdom Wench, and this week I'm going to talk you through how to make a Curiosity Catalogue. This is a little tool I use and it's something that I think a few of you might actually find helpful. If you're like me, you get home at the end of the day and there are so many things that you want to do and that you want to learn, and skills that you want to improve, or new things that you want to try, but you're exhausted. I definitely find this. I work full time and I study, and there's a bunch of things I do and responsibilities I have. And there are loads of things that I really want to learn. This is where the Curiosity Catalogue comes in. If this sounds to you like it's something that you're interested in, please follow along with this video. And I'm going to start by talking about how I set goals. I'm then going to go into extra things you can do to make things easier for yourself, especially if you struggle with anxiety or depression or just low mood and tiredness in general. And we'll do a quick recap at the end as well. A practice I've held for a really long time is I set seasonal curiosities. In this, it's things that in that season I would like to try, or I might want to learn or dip my toe into. They are all things that have no judgment attached to them. They aren't things that I must achieve, and they don't have set dates attached to them. I make one for autumn, winter, spring, summer, and so on and so forth. And I don't have things that I want to do all year on them. My attention is going to wax and wane with the year. My want-to-dos are going to change throughout the year as well. This is where having a seasonal catalogue of things that I might want to try comes in really helpful for me. So for my catalogue, where I'm putting things on there that I want to learn, I'm focusing on things that I'm really drawn to this season. And that for me tends to be very indoor and homemakey kind of things. In general, I really like to swim and I like being outdoors and trying new outdoor things. However, in autumn and in winter in particular, I don't want to do that. I don't gravitate towards that. I like to follow where my curiosity and my interest takes me. In autumn and winter, it's a lot more cozy habits. I'd like to be in the kitchen. I like to learn new baking skills, new recipes. I like to learn crafts and habits that I can do inside, kind of when I get home from work and I sit down and I'm on the sofa. I'd like to do something with my evening, but something a little bit slower, something that matches my energy levels a bit more. Other things to take into consideration when you're setting your goals is making it not something wide, narrowing it down a little, not so much that you have to do something a certain way. For example, if I say I'd like to learn to bake. Well, when do you consider that you've learnt to bake? It's something too abstract, it's too wide. But I don't want to narrow it down so much. That doesn't work for me. I need some wiggle room. So I pick a thing that I'd like to learn to do and learn to do well. So for this season, one of those things on my autumn list is learning to bake sourdough. I really want to learn to bake sourdough. And croissants. They are two things on my autumn list. And part of this is because there's no end date. If I don't do this in the season that feels like autumn, if I'm still feeling like doing this in winter, I'm just going to add it to my winter catalogue. There's no judgment attached to it. There's no end date. There's no prescription to this. It's something that lets me try lots of different things. Part of this came about because I don't like doing New Year's resolutions. They've never worked for me. So a few years ago I did seasonal things I'd like to try. And I've been doing that every season since. Having a New Year's resolution has never worked for me. Having a year to do something either means it will never get done or I will do it all in the first week. There's no in between with me. It's that. Having little seasonal things that I'd like to try or things that I'd like to get better at has helped me a lot to learn lots of skills and to really enjoy the things that I'm doing. So currently on my autumn list, I really would like to make sourdough and make good sourdough. I'd also like to learn to make croissants. That's on there too. I'd really like to learn to crochet. And to say learning to crochet, again, too big of a goal, but I'd like to be able to crochet a granny square by the end of autumn is kind of what I'm looking at. In general, I'd like to learn to knit as well, but saying I'd like to learn to knit a whole jumper by the end of autumn is not going to happen for me. But I'd like to be able to knit maybe a square and learn the difference between the two skills. So while learning to crochet is too big of an umbrella for me, learning to crochet a granny square is something a little more tangible and something that I'm more likely going to do. So that's how I add things to my Curiosity Catalogue. They are things that I'd like to try this season. They're not big and intangible, they are smaller. They are things that I can say, hey, I have done this. There's no judgment attached to them. There's no time limits attached to them. There's no numerical value attached to them, because if I do that, I'm not going to focus on the thing that I'm trying to learn, I'm going to focus on that number. So that's the same with all goals that I tend to set. And by doing this seasonally, and for me, seasonally doesn't have a date attached to it, I've seen people do kind of goal settings for each kind of quarter, and they'll do, say, to the equinox, from an equinox to a solstice. That's absolutely fine if that works for you. I kind of do it as when I feel like I'm in the season, like when I feel like I'm in autumn, and when I feel like I'm in winter, and so on and so forth, because I will just go with where my attention waxes and wanes. It's a lot more holistic way to learn and try lots of new things. This also really helps me when I get home from work after a long day, or I've been sat in traffic and I want to do something with my evening that isn't letting myself veg out in front of the TV, because I don't always want to do that. Now, if making the Curiosity Catalogue and setting goals is something that you're all good at, fantastic. But if you're like me and you struggle with anxiety or low energy days, I do an extra step, something that really helps. This is something that I personally do in a planner. You might also want to put this on a poster and put it up, whatever works for you. But I take those goals, those things that I want to learn, and I make tangible small steps. Make them really small steps. So let's take making sourdough as an example. One small step might be to look up a recipe. Second small step might be to look up a starter. Third small step might be see what ingredients I have at home. What ones do I need to buy? Make a list, go and get those ingredients. Try making a starter. I break it down into lots of little steps for when I am low energy and I don't need to think about what I need to do. I don't need it all the time, but it does come in useful when I am low energy or my anxiety is really acting up. I personally like to do this in my planner so that I've got somewhere with all of those goals written out, so I don't need to think about it so much. But my Curiosity Catalogue is on a poster, which I put up on the wall. Another thing to help you if you are low energy is to put a few items for those habits in easy reach. I put the Curiosity Catalogue into a poster. I like it pretty and I like it where I can see it. I've put it where I like to sit on the sofa in the evening, right next to it on a wall where I can see it. Which means I'm always gonna, when I have the urge to sit and be done for the day, I'm always gonna be able to see all of these things that I might like to try that is gonna fill that well. Where I've personally put it is next to a side table, and on that side table I've got a little basket and I've put things like some wool, some knitting needles, crochet hook. I've got a cookbook underneath there for some recipes that I might want to try. Everything is in easy reach for me to do it so that I don't need to think about it so much. I can pick it up and go for it. I'm personally more likely to do something if I don't have to go and get everything out to go and do it. Especially at the end of a long work day, I'm tired, I don't want to go and find all my crochet hooks. They're there, I know where they are, and I don't need to think about it so much. And any projects that I get partway through, I can just leave there, which is really nice for me as well. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and please let me know if you're going to make a Curiosity Catalogue or if you do something like this already. please make one up, and if you do want to put one on Instagram, please tag me at the Wisdom Wench so that I can see it and see all of your really cool Curiosity catalogues. In the comments down below, please put something that you would put on your Curiosity catalogue that you want to try. And if you'd like to help other low-NG peeps like me, do your own little breakdown underneath of how you put it into small bite-sized chunks that are comfortable for you, so that other people might be able to try out your little steps for it as well. I hope that you stay curious and that you stay learning and that you are always trying new things. And it's been lovely to have you here. Please show me all of your Curiosity catalogues if you make any, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! Well, when do you consider yourself have learnt? When do you consider yourself? Well, when do you consider yourself learnt? When I make this poster, I put this... That made little to no sense. So I hope I can edit that into something that makes sense.